Okay, I think we're back on. So today we are going to focus a little more on the Handicraft Lodge. I've learned a couple things recently on how to make things a little more um, uh, realistic, especially for the Handicraft Lodge. I've kind of played around with a couple tools that I found, and I think we're going to see if we can make this a little more true to form. So, first thing that we are going to do is reference our image that Sean gave us for the Handicraft Lodge. And it looks like this. So a few things we'll note in difference is the Unreal Engine version, you can see the pitch of the roof is a little flatter. So what we're going to do is raise the pitch. I'm also going to randomize a little more the like painted concrete wall texture to make it a little more random. And then I'm kind of already showing you here, but I've started coloring these like planks of wood that are on the side of the Handicraft Lodge. Like if we look on the side here, if you remember, whoops, if you remember the planks of wood here are blue. And so I'm trying to match that blue color. So we're going to do a few things. We're going to match this blue color, maybe update the texture here to make it look like painted wood. And then we're going to randomize this outside concrete paint texture because you can see it kind of like um, has this pattern that's very obvious. And then we're going to change the pitch of the roof. So I'm going to show you how we're going to do that. So we're going to take our reference photo and we're going to open it up in Google. So I was using a tool the other day. I think it was like image overlay ruler online. Not ruler, but what do we want? Protractor. That's what we want. I think we want a ruler later too. And we want to use this Guinea Fab one here. And this is what we're going to use. All we have to do is upload a photo. So we're going to throw in our Handicraft Lodge photo. And I'm going to break that out so that I can move my stream manager over here and see the chat. Okay, so we're going to actually calculate the pitch of the roof using this online protractor. So we're just going to move our image in, and then we'll move it up so we get exactly where we want to be. And we're actually going to go to the corner. So let's also change the protractor color to yellow so that we can see the lines a little better. And then we're going to displace this a little more to the right. And we're going to go basically to there. I think probably right there is good. But if you notice, the uh, pitch of the like brown here, you can see it kind of gets bigger, which means we need to also rotate the photo or rotate our protractor. So we just rotated it, and now we have actually a pretty accurate spot. So we're going to go from this inside place. We see this is 0 degrees, and then if we go up to about 24, maybe 25 degrees is suitable. So that is basically going to be the pitch of the roof. So in our Unreal Engine, we're going to go up here and change the pitch of this roof. I have the details right here. Let me move it over. We're going to change this pitch here to 25. And there we go. And we'll do it to this side as well. And there we go. So we could see we have a pretty close overlap. We might have to fix that a little bit. The next thing I want to do is actually fix this truss here. And we can probably do this with our modeling tool. If we go to model and then polygroup edit, then not polygroup, I think it's maybe mesh. Try select and then triangle edit, I think is what we want. Then we select those vertex or vertices there, and then we can just drag them up to where it meets the roof. So this is how we're going to edit triangles in Unreal. Change my camera speed. Let's see the camera speed changer. I think it's because my details are in the way. Let me move my details back. So let me change this to like 1 so I can get really fine grained here. Okay. Move that up. Move that over. And I think that's good. Accept that. And while we're here, let's edit this roof piece so that we can get it right in line. And I can probably do a finer touch over here on my other screen, so let me get that right on. Perfect. Okay, that looks good. Let's back up to 5, and then we should be able to just delete this old one and then drag this over with Alt so that we have 2 identical pieces. And I just want to put that maybe right there. Okay. So the pitch of the roof is now true to the actual real life building. So now let's edit the blue windows right here. So that's going to be on this side. And I actually already started on this, and you can see these are pretty like pristine. Like they look like brand new pieces of wood, and I remember distinctly like this was kind of worn. And so we're gonna add a texture, like maybe a wood plank texture on this. So I think to do that, we can go to the fab. And we're gonna go to materials and textures, and let's just type in wood board. And realistic wood. That might work. Of course, we're going to try to change the color, and I think we can get that. I think we can change the color pretty easily. I like that one. Let's maybe do this one. Oh, it's 99 cents. Okay, I forgot. We're gonna only do free stuff for a while, and then eventually maybe buy some higher quality assets. I don't want to use plywood, wooden floor. Decking, wooden tabletop. This may work. I don't know. It looks kind of like worn wood, and we want like painted wood basically. Floor, ground rubble, wooden planks. Wooden planks. One thing we could do is we could search Polyhaven. So I was doing some research over lunch at work today, and there's a website called Polyhaven that has a ton of like really high quality free assets. And so I think we want texture, wood, and maybe we can just find one here to use. Plywood. Yeah, a lot of these are like flooring material. Fine grained wood, bark, rough planks. There's got to be one in here that might be good. Wood peeling paint. Maybe this. Let's try this. Let's actually download a very specific file. We want the normal file. Let's try a normal DX file. I think that's, yeah, let's try this. See how that goes. We're going to save image as, yeah, normal. And then go into Unreal. And then I think we can just create a new material for this. So we'll go into SPSR content. Let's do buildings and we'll create a new material. And we'll call this blue wood. And for the base color, we're just going to create a new, I think it's a, what is it, a tuple? There we go. And then we just want to pick a color of wood that is blue, or a color for this wood that is blue. I think the way to get this is we're going to actually open this up in a photo editor. And my favorite one is paint.net, which I think I've showed before. And then we're going to zoom in here. And we're going to actually get a real blue color from this. And kind of want maybe a lighter blue, something like that. Let's see what that is. Okay, so that's a hex. We'll grab the hex number for that. And it's just like an encoding basically. And I think we let's see, that's XYZ. Maybe we drop a color node. Is it a color vertex, color matrix? Free color blend, no hair color. Trying to remember what the parameter is for the color in Unreal. Let's see, Unreal material color blueprint. Okay, we want this. It's basically an RGB value. And that is going to be base color parameter using constant vector 3. Okay, that's what we'll use. So that is going to be deleted. So we'll right click and we'll do constant vector, constant 3 vector. Well, that looks pretty similar, doesn't it? Maybe that was the right one. Okay, I guess we can use, instead of the hex, we'll use the RGBs. That's 127. Here, let me track this over here. It's going to be 127 for the X or the R, 127. The G is 164, and the B is 193. And that does not look like the blue, does it? Not look like this color here. Am I doing that right? 127. I wonder if I have the numbers wrong. Red, green, blue. Yeah, I think that's right. Ah, here we go. Okay, I just double click it and then I can change the hex. So this is much easier. Let me grab the hex and then I'll throw it in here. Hit OK, and there we go. So it looks like these are scalars between 0 and 1, and then of course RGB is a scalar, but it's from 0 to 255, I think. So so it's going to be a little bit different, uh, working in Unreal than working in Paint.net, but it's okay. We're figuring it out. Okay, so we're just going to take this constant output and we're going to put it into base color. And then we should be able to just import our normal uh, that we downloaded from Haven, Polyhaven. So I'm going to import download, and I think I put that in temp, didn't I? Yeah, put the normal file here. And then if I just drag that here, this is now a normal PNG. And I think I put RGB into normal. And there we go. We can see on the little viewer over here that this is now very well painted wood. Now, I want to maybe add an option for changing the roughness. So I'm going to put in a constant. I'm going to put roughness in here. And I'm also going to put in a parameter for metallic. And then also for specular, which is very similar to roughness. And then I also want to be able to change the tiling for this plank here to make it look a little bigger or smaller. So I am going to bring in a texture coordinate. And then I'm going to bring in a multiplier. And then another scalar constant. And we're just going to scale these texture coordinates. And then drop this into the UV normal. And we're going to make this default 1. All right. And then we're going to convert basically all of these parameters here to constants that we can manipulate. Or we're going to convert all of these variables to parameters that we can manipulate. And we can end up changing the look of the wood in real time instead of having to come in here and make changes. So we're going to put all of these into a comment block. And we're going to call this, I don't know, maybe blue color params, something like that. And then we're going to convert this to a parameter. And we're going to call this color. We're going to convert this to a parameter. We're going to call this metallic. And we'll just keep going down the line. So this one is going to be specular. This will be roughness. And then this one will be tiling. Actually, no, this one will be normal. This one will be normal. Yeah. Okay. And that should get us our blue wood. At this point, we are going to save this. We're going to open up our content drawer, we'll go to blue wood, and we're going to create what's called a material instance. And this material instance allows us to essentially apply this material to anything, not just the wood, but we can apply it to anything as separate instances and then change them individually, like the color or the roughness or the metallic shine, basically. So we're going to call this blue wood MI, so material instance. Then we'll jump into the material instance, and we're going to turn on all these parameters that we just enabled. And then we're going to save that. Now, in our scene, we're going to take our board here, and we're going to drop the new material instance onto the board. And let's compare the two boards once we do that. So the material here is actually where we edit that. And we're going to drop the MI right on the material, like that. And let's just save that. Okay. Let's see if we have some Yeah, we can see some texture change. You see that? If I move the sun around, you can actually start to see some of the grains of wood show up in that plank. Oh, there you go. So let's go ahead and change the tiling ever so slightly, or the normal, so we can actually view this. Let me move this over here so it's out of the way. Um, and we want to pull up this. We're going to grab these details, move them outside. Let's move that over here. And here's our details. So then we're just going to change the roughness, maybe. See if that makes any difference. Not really. We'll leave that at 1. We can certainly change the color. See that? I can make it even more blue. I won't do that for now because I kind of like this tint of blue. Let me move the sun a little bit so that we can see the difference. You can actually see this one's a little bit lighter. Change my let me change my camera just a little bit so I'm not going as fast. Okay. Alright, so that actually looks pretty good, I think. I'm pretty happy with that. But I am curious about this normal. Let me change the normal, see if we can get a little more grain show up. It's very subtle. It's really not. There we go. So I think somewhere around like 0.3 is probably good. Yeah, that looks amazing. That looks like a roughed up piece of wood. Okay, I'm just gonna apply that material instance to this one as well. And I should be able to just drag and drop actually. So I'm gonna drag this, put it right on there. Oh, I think it added it to the building, or to the wall there. That's not what I wanted. Let me try that again. Material instance, drop it on there. Perfect. Okay, now we got some realistic wood planks, and that looks amazing. Um, all right, so we did the wood. Now let's do the tiling on the outside of the building. So like I said, you can see it kind of like duplicates there, and in fact, if I go into the material instance for this, I have it somewhere. I think it's in levels, maybe. Building, speaker content. It's in buildings. I do not know where I put that, but I think I can find it. If I go into the outliner, I can click on this wall and I can actually open up the details for this. So I'll go Window, Details, and let's put the details over here. And we see that this has the material instance here, which is whatever the heck this is. I'm going to open up that location so I can see it. And here it is in my content drawer. So it was the painted concrete wall. That's what it was. We downloaded it from the fab. So let's open up this material. And let's see if we can maybe play around with the tiling here. Let's add details. Okay, so we have tiling. We have XY offset. We have Y offset. Okay, so we do have some stuff. I don't think we have like randomness, and I do have a way of maybe randomizing a texture, but I'm not sure how to apply it to a pre-download or like a downloaded asset from the fab. Um, This kind of looks like a material instance. Um, so I wonder if we can maybe edit this. Uh, Create material instance, edit open source location. Let's see about that. Okay, this is the source location. All right, so we do have these textures. That's interesting. Yeah, so this might be what we end up doing. We might have to create our own material here. We have all the assets we need for this. So let's consider just making our own material. So to do that, we're going to go content drawer. Let's make it in the SPSR content folder so that we have everything in one spot. I think I want to put stuff in buildings. And within buildings, for all of our materials, let's put that into a folder called materials. That way, any of our assets that we build, so we're gonna do this for, um, we're gonna do this for the commissary, the admin building, some of the cabins. We'll probably have to create our own materials, our custom materials, and I feel pretty confident about starting to get more into custom materials. So we'll call this uh, handicraft lodge painted concrete. We'll open that up. Yeah, let's get rid of those details. We don't need those. Actually, I might have to exit that in another. There we go. Nope, still can't exit out of that. That's weird. I think I have to exit that. There we go. Okay. So it should be just as easy as importing the location of those assets. And those are going to be here. So we're just going to grab all those and drop them in here. So what we have, I still am trying to figure out what all of these stand for, but I think this one is going to be our base color right here. This one's going to be our normal. I think this one is our specular, and then this one might be roughness. I'm not quite sure. But let's go ahead and put these in here. And we'll see if this starts to look a little more typical. And yeah, that somewhat looks pretty accurate over here on the preview. So let's just save this and we'll create a material instance again out of this. So we'll just do create material instance and we'll call it the same thing and then put mi at the end. All right, and then let's go into our viewport here. And we're just going to drop this material instance right in there. And we should get something that looks like a wall. And that looks pretty good. Cool. We do want to tile this. And so we're going to do the same, something very similar to what we did on this blueprint. And in fact, we can probably just edit this blueprint to be a little more all-encompassing of other materials rather than just this plywood. And to do that, we're going to actually open up our parameters here. We're going to add this normal map into that parameter, and we're going to convert this to a parameter. And we'll call this normal map. And then we will add another parameter called tiling. think we'll just put that right over here. And we're going to grab another texture coordinate. And we'll put that up here. We'll do another multiply. And we'll put this texture coordinate into I think we want to actually put this in, maybe instead of color, we edit this and we put in our information here, or our, no, that's the wrong spot. Our parameters from our content drawer, which I think I had those here. Yeah, I think I can just copy these. And paste them over here. Yeah, there we go. Okay, so we're going to put our texture in our normal, right, like this. And we're actually going to multiply both of these together at the same rate, and that's going to be able to change our tiling all in one go. All right, so we'll just put the specular into here and the roughness into here. And then let's change our tiling default to 1. And that way, we can change the tiling to like 0.3, and we should get a little bit different of a size on the tiling. That way we can edit the painted concrete. So let's actually get rid of this. Well, hold on. I think what might be more appropriate is if we copy all of this and just paste it in here. So I'm going to delete all that stuff. And Control C, and then let's see if we can put it all there. Yes, nice. Okay. So we'll get to that in a sec. Let me actually backspace this because I want to keep the I'm going to undo some of this because I want to actually keep the blue material that we just created. Sorry, I know this part's a little boring, but this is how we make the game much more realistic to, SPSR. Okay, we're almost there. All right, that should be it. So let me delete these, and I'll apply that and save it. Okay, so now we have this new material instance, and we have all of our assets here. In the appropriate spot, and I think that, yeah, that's the painted concrete. All right, so we hook that up into base color. We'll hook this one up into specular, this one up into roughness. And I believe we're going to actually output the same texture coordinate multiplication to these as well, so that they all line up whenever they get updated. Okay. And then we can get rid of the normal, rid of that. And we already have, actually we don't have a metallic. Let's leave the metallic. Then we'll get rid of our specular parameter and our roughness. That way we can drive that from our maps here. Okay. So we also want to randomize uh, some of the texture, and I think I have a example of that within, I believe, a grass that I used, and I'm gonna have to go find it. So let's actually search this. Go all. Let's search for grass. Mm, We'll search up here because I think this will show us the assets. Okay, that's all. So grass. Um, oh, you know what? I might be able to find this a little easier if we go to the viewport. And then we go to landscape and paint. Oh no, okay, or that's right. We're on a different level, so I might have to go locate this normally with the content browser. Okay, we have grass here. Let's see. I wonder if there's a material instance for this grass that I made that might give us an idea. In-ground grass. And this was the grass that we painted onto the actual SPSR map. And so that's what I'm looking for. And there's, of course, tons of grass. And this isn't the grass model, this is just the paint on the landscape that I'm looking for. Okay, so there was a randomness. That's right. So we added a randomness. This is all coming back to me. Uncut grass, layer info. It's not that, so it's going to be one of these materials. I wonder if... No, it's not that one. I think I just made that one. Grass medium. See what this one looks like. That might not be it. Let's try this one. Okay, this looks pretty accurate. This might have been what I did. Yeah, I might have edited this at one point and then didn't finish it, but I think this is probably it. Um, yep. So I'm gonna save this. Let's see, how did I do that? Um, I think the MR intensity here is actually how we randomize it. Or it's the tiling. What is this? Is this our random? No, that's just the ground. Okay, I actually don't see a random node in here, so it might not be this. Um, let me search for something else. It could be under landscape. And I think I might have called it like SPSR landscape, perhaps. Landscape grass type. In landscape. Let's see if this is it. Well, that's definitely not it. Could be this blend. So basically what I'm trying to find is a randomness node that I used at one point. That's going to give me a good idea. Um, at this point, I don't know. I might not be able to find it. Let me just Google this. Add randomness to material. Materials. Um, I always add Unreal to my Google search. Randomness in materials. How to add random color variations to objects. How do I seed random material values? I don't think it's that. Let me try randomness in materials. Uh, yeah, let's give it a little watch. Random offset. Let's see. Randomness tint. Uh, Not sure that's going to be it. That seems a little different. Randomized textures. Hmm. Yeah, I don't know if we'll be able to randomize it as much, but I'll do a little more research and maybe get back to it because I don't want to take up too much time trying to figure that out. Okay. For some reason I cannot fly around. That is really weird. It's almost like my computer's glitching out right now. Hmm. Okay. Well, I'm just gonna save that level and let's go ahead and place this back into SPSR because I think this is a little bit better of an update. So we're gonna show our content browser. No, not our content browser. Show our outliner. And then we're gonna basically grab everything except for our player start. And our floor. We don't need our floor. Okay. And then we'll group that. Actually, I might be able to create a level instance from all that. Let me try that. So we go to buildings. Buildings, maybe we put it in levels. Yeah, we put it in levels. Let me start putting it in buildings, and I'm going to create a new folder and call this Handicraft Lodge. And then let's call this Handicraft Lodge. Okay. And yep, so it just put all that in there. We can actually hide it so we know that we have the whole, um, all of the actors in one go. Okay, cool. That's awesome. So let's go back into SPSR, which is this one. We'll give that a second to load. And then I think we will um, go to our staff cabin and continue working on that. Okay, let's go find our Handicraft Lodge location. We'll give this a second to spin up. There we go. And let me unlit things because I think this will look a little bit easier. There we go. That way the environment's not trying to figure out how to light everything. Speaker content, and then we put this in buildings, Handicraft Lodge, and should be able to just drop this right here. You'll also notice I got rid of that cement pad that we put out front. That was definitely something I thought was there, but of course Sean and Sally sent a photo that was showing otherwise. So, and then let's just drop this ever so slightly into the ground. It should go a little further. And we'll rotate. Let's turn off snapping so we can put it right where we want. Something like that. Put it there, and then we'll just drop this a little bit into the ground. Right, like that. Okay. Cool. I'll fix the earth a little bit here, so that it looks a little different. But, ooh, we could probably go fix the side here on the trading post, the like triangle up here. Maybe, yeah, let's go do that real quick since we're here. And we'll have to go open that level instance when we save everything. And I will go to speaker content, levels, and that is trading post. And I think I can open up the level there. Yeah, perfect. Okay, I'm gonna light this because we can see things a little bit clearer here with a little bit of light. All right, so we need a wall. And so we're gonna go to architecture, starter content, architecture, and we'll call this, we're gonna actually duplicate. We're gonna call this trading post plus. Bring it out. And let's make it a little bit smaller. And we'll go into our fun modeling tool. I'm trying to remember how we did this. No, it wasn't subdivide. It was. I think we actually cut it, didn't we? No, it wasn't try select mesh. Triangle edit might have been it. Oh, chill out. Oh, plane cut might have been it. Put this at 45. No, not that one. This at 45. We'll leave this at 0. We'll put you right there. We'll accept that cut, and then we'll do it again. Plane cut, and we'll go not 45, but what would that be? 135? Yeah. Oh, I see. It subtracts everything below that. So let's add. That would be 135. Maybe there's a way to change this. Because it's basically getting rid of everything below that. So we need to rotate it essentially 180. Oh, that might work. Yeah, there we go. That's good. Okay, we'll just go there, accept, and then just put that into place. There. Now we will change the triangle edit. We'll get the vertices and move those over here. And we'll grab these vertices and do the same thing. Let me just get this right on. Go like right there. That one looks good. Let's make sure that's good. That looks good. Okay. Accept that and then move it just ever so slightly into place. Okay. Then we'll drag the copy over to the other side and do the same thing over here. Make sure it lines up. All right. And we'll get out of modeling mode. Let's add our painted corrugated material onto that. And I think it was Mega Scan, Surface. No, I always go there. Let's try Fab. I don't see painted. I could always search this and search painted. Yeah. This one, materials, material instance. Yeah, that's fine. Drop that on there. We'll do the same thing on this side. Okie doke. Sweet. That looks much more believable. Um, of course, we can't see uh, into the Handicraft Lodge, but I think we can actually make this work. The way that we're going to do this is we're going to actually open these windows up. I think we can make some glass that we can actually see into, and we'll put some really cool things in here. So if we go to level and then break, this is going to break the entire level instance um, that we're working with here. That way we can edit specific things. So we're going to break level instance, and that way everything is a unique item. So we can select this window after doing that. I thought we could. Maybe this is a group actor. I think that's it. We go to content browser. Nope. Keep going there. It's not the content browser. It is the outliner. Go to Windows, outliner. And yes, this is still a group actor. So let's ungroup. I probably don't need to group the actor anymore because I just proved that with the Handicraft Lodge. Okay, so now we can click and edit this window specifically. So I'm going to do another polycut just on this window. I think we can, maybe. We'll see. Plain cut, yes. And let's change a few things here. Change the size. Oh, it's a plane, so no, we can't. So let's cancel that. We want to do a polycut. And we're going to change the width And we don't want it to be a circle, we want it to be a rectangle. And then let's create an offset here of 90 degrees. And then 90 degrees there. Yeah, let's rotate that 90 degrees. Sweet. Then we'll just drag this over. And let's just scale this up a little bit. The width is going to be 124. And the height will be 60. Okay, so we got to get this right in the middle. And let's just kind of eyeball this. Yeah, let's do like 98, 100. Okay. And then let me change my flight so I can get very specific here. We'll fill this in with glass because I have a way to make a glass material as well. All right, so that's not quite it. Let's do 128. Let's look where that goes down. That kind of overlaps just a little bit. Let's bring it up. All right, let's bring this down to 126. That's pretty good. There's still a little gap there. Let's move it up. And I'll go 127. Okay. All right, that's perfect. But I have this gap over here still, so let's make the height maybe 103. And then move it over. Actually, that is perfect. Okay, so this is 127 and 103. I'm going to write this down in our notes because I'm going to have to do this again. So we'll say Handicraft log Windows 127 by 103. Okay. 7 by 103. Let's accept that. We're gonna. Oh, actually, let's get our. No, never mind. We don't need the location, but we need 90, 90, 90. So we'll keep that in mind. All right. So we cut that. Now we can see into the building, which is pretty cool. But there's no window. We'll do another poly cut, and we'll do 90, 90, 90. And then that's actually already there. That had our information in. So now we just need to drag it over, and they should be the same size if this is a high quality poly. And we make sure we're center here so it looks a little more even. This one is a little smaller. That's interesting. Yeah, so we might have to make this like 101. Let's see, that looks good. Maybe 102. It's fine. Let's. Yeah, it needs to move up. And how was that? Honestly, yeah, I could go up just a little bit. Yeah, we'll go with that. Okay, so now we have basically see-through windows. We could probably put in a point light if we wanted to. and it'll light up that room, and we can actually see that there's some depth going on, right? We can see in there, so that's cool. Um, yeah, let's leave that there for now. So I said we're going to make a material out of glass. So to do that, we're going to go and let's just create a glass material. So we'll go to SPSR content, we'll go buildings, and let's just call this a glass material. And I think there was a video I was watching, YouTube Unreal Materials Glass. And there was, maybe not this video. Let's see. Uh, might have been in my playlist. Your channel, see playlists, game dev. Here we go. This was it. Okay, so they are going to be creating a translucent material over here, and they're doing base color and then opacity, and then they change the blend mode to translucent. So that's pretty easy. So then the blend mode here is translucent, and then we have an opacity. Let's create a constant, drop that into base color. We're going to double click this, and let's give it maybe a white texture. And then we're going to just have a scalar here. We're going to put this into opacity. And then we're going to put this in a comment. We're going to say params. We're going to change this to a parameter. We're going to call this color. And then we'll change this and we'll call this opacity. Let's just double check the values that this person used. So 0.5, and then I think 0.5 is probably good. Let's try that. Let's see what that looks like. Yeah, so we can see that this is sort of translucent over there. Yeah, we might add an ambient inclusion later, and then maybe make this a little more believable. But this is a really good start for glass, and so that's good. We just called that glass. Let's now create a material instance, and we'll call this glass mi for material instance. Now we should be able to drop in a shape, and let's drop in a box. And it looks like this box already has that new material instance. That's interesting. It's not what I wanted it to do. Wonder what it looks like if I put in a cube. And then can we put that material instance on the cube? Yes, we can. Okay, let's move the cube out from the room so that we can actually see it. Then we're going to size it down ever so slightly to where it looks more like a pane of glass. And this should be pretty simple, where we just like literally put it in the wall and then we expand it to make it the size of the window. So if we put that like pretty much right in the middle, let's make this just a tiny bit smaller. And then make it bigger in the X and Y. Put it like right there. And move it up. There we go. Now we have a makeshift window. And it has a little bit of opacity. And we could probably add some occlusion in there, but we can see it's a little bit hazy with our light. If we move the light around, we can see that there's a little bit of a reflection going on the glass. So that's pretty cool. I think I might leave the light in there for now. But yeah, so the trading post looks a lot cooler. I'm gonna do this one, I think, on my own. This one should be pretty easy. Oh, they're already cut out. That's cool. I didn't even notice that. So really, I just need to cut the wall out. But I'll do that on my own because I don't want to take up time here. But that's pretty cool. So let's make a few more changes tonight. We're gonna go and edit the cabin, and I think we're gonna probably start putting some material down on the wood planks and everything, so it looks a little more believable. First thing though is I'm gonna save this as a level instance. So to do that, we're gonna grab every single thing here, except for our main floor and our player start. We're gonna leave the point light. And yeah, okay. So then we'll go level, create level instance. Okay. And let's go put this in our buildings folder, and we're gonna create a new folder. Call this trading post. Trading post level instance. All right, we should be able to make everything go away with this little eyeball, which gives us an idea of whether or not we got everything, which we did. Okay, so that's saved. Let's place this into SPSR. So we'll jump back to our SPSR map. We'll let it load. And let me unlit everything so that it's a little more easy to render. All right. That's much easier to render. Okay, we should be able to just delete that. And go to our trading post and drop in our level instance. Rotate it. And let's just move it a little bit to the left. And maybe rotate to like right there. All right. Now let's light this puppy. See what this looks like. Oh, it's hovering. Don't want that. Let's drop this down. And let me change where the sun is at so it's not directly above us. Ooh, I like that. Where was that at? Oh, that's good. Nice. All right, so we see that our window's in there. We have our point light shining so we can see there's someone in there, maybe buying some patches or Choco Taco or something. It looks like it's still floating. Let me just drop it a little more. There we go. I wonder if it's floating because it's actually not flat back here, but yeah, see, it's still floating on. No, maybe not. Maybe it is flat. I don't know why it was floating then. Could have been because the metal post here is actually clipping underground, and so it's a little bit longer on the bottom, which is why whenever I click end, it doesn't It doesn't actually go all the way down. Oh, this is cool. This point light is inside of the window, but we can see that we actually have a little bit of light coming from that point light and casting shadows on our poles. So that's going to be pretty cool. It's going to look really neat whenever we play this. All right, so we have a more realistic handicraft lodge. Um, that looks so good. And we've updated our trading post. All right, I'm going to save all that and let's go to our cabin and continue working on that. So I'm going to open our staff cabin photo that we got from some of our friends so that we have it as a reference. We'll open level and go find our staff cabin. Where did I put that? Cabin 1, I think. Yeah, that's it. All right, let me move this over so that we can see a little more. We'll zoom in where we need to. So we have windows here. We just learned how to make those, so that's cool. Um, what should we do? We should probably finish the deck. So we have some stairs we need to build. So I have an idea for these stairs, but I think I'm gonna need to select everything in the content browser, or not the content browser, but the outliner. And then we need to move it up and then put some stairs on the front. So I'm going to show you how we're going to do that. Outliner. And then let's just grab everything here and move it all up. This. And then let's add some stairs. So to do that, we're going to go to modeling. We're going to go to create, and then there's the stairs right here. And voila, we now have stairs. Pretty easy. Now the problem with these stairs is that it's one whole block, and if we look at our staircase, it's planks, right? It's planks of wood. So if this doesn't work out, we might have to do this manually, but we basically need to get rid of some of the stairs here. So there's 4 steps, right? Yeah, 4 steps. Step width. Well, I guess we can rotate it. Not like that, but like this. We'll rotate it 90. And then let's put it into place. So then we'll change the step width where it's pretty much what we want. Maybe like that. I don't know how far down this is, so I don't know how much of an elevation of step we need here. But let me add, whoa, add like maybe a couple inches, a couple centimeters maybe to each one. And then let's change the depth to something a little longer because this looks like some stairs that are a little longer. Put that into place. Maybe not that long. That seems a little too long. Okay. Um, the only problem with this is we definitely have too much going on here. We need those to be planks. Floating. Oh, okay. Curve. Whoa, we can do curve. We can do a spiral. Floating is good. I like floating. That's a good step. But how do we change how thick they are? That's a good thing we need to figure out. Do we have size available per face, per shape? What does that do? Polygroup mode. So we have step, depth, width, height. And then these three are unselected. We can't change those. I do like the floating though. That's definitely what we need. Hmm. Yeah, we may not be able to do this with the stairs. That's okay. We can get a more accurate way to do this. So I think what I'm going to do is copy this piece, and we're going to actually just drop this right onto this stair. And let me snap rotation on so we can get exactly 90 degrees. And then make this a little bit thicker and a little shorter. And let's put it right into place. And then we're just going to make a plank for each one of these, I think. And we'll go from there. But we need to place them very specifically. Man, this is tedious. Yeah, we'll do that. And then just make it a little bit smaller. Move it in a little bit so these are pretty accurate. Okay, that'll work. And then we'll alt again, alt again. Okay, last one. All right, and then we should be able to delete this, and that leaves us with pretty accurate location of these steps. I'm going to copy another one of these, and we're going to start rotating it. And this is going to be pretty much at 45 degrees there. Because right, there's this like, side piece here that these would fit into, or would be nailed onto, basically. I feel like this should probably be a little bit thicker. And let me look at the details for this, because I want to get this really accurate. All right, it's probably just barely too thick. Maybe like that. Yeah, we'll do that. And then I think we want to elongate just a little bit. And move it down. Back. that we recovered down there. Oh, that looks really good. We'll do that. And then let's do a planar cut so that we can get really um, precise here. I'm going to change my speed of my camera. So we're going to do a model, plane cut, and we're going to move this up. And let's reference our photo. This is basically straight on, right on the top there. So let's just try to get right around there. That looks good. We'll accept that. Oh, it cut more things than what we wanted. We just want to plane cut this guy. Oh, I see what happened. So, because I duplicated this board, um, that caused everything else that came from that same source, which was all these other boards here, to also be cut. So, I'm gonna actually have to redo this. By redo this, I mean I'm gonna have to basically create a new instance of this, which I'm not too crazy about, but it has to be done. I'm gonna first get the details because I like this board here. Um, I'm gonna look at the scale. Is kind of what I'm getting at. So let's just save these in our notes. Oops. Save these in our notes. Cabin stair board. So that's X. And this is Y. And then C. All right, and then we're gonna delete this board, and we have to go to content drawer. And architecture, and we're gonna maybe get it from a pillar, which I think is what we did. We're gonna call this stair board. Drag that into the environment, and then we'll put the scale down for these three. I'm gonna move this over to my other screen so I can see it. And we'll change the X, the Y, and the Z. Okay, so we have our board back. Now we'll rotate 90. Move it into place. All right, let's look at our reference here. So just go straight down. I think that's actually really good. Okay, we have a little room, so I'm gonna move it over. That. Yeah, that looks stellar. All right, and then we'll do a planar cut on this one. So we go to model, plane cut, and move this up. And we'll accept that, and let's just go ahead and move this over while we're here. Okay, and let's plane cut this side as well. And we'll flip this by 180. So that plane cuts the bottom there. And then I think we probably have a plane cut on the bottom, I would assume. Right? Yeah. That way it goes right into the ground, basically, flush with the ground. We'll accept that. Now, we just drag this over and we have two of them. Boom. Okay. What else do we need for this staircase? We need some handrails, and honestly, that's it. So, to do handrails, we're going to take our existing pillars here that we have used already and just make this a little bit different size. There we go. Since we've used these, we want to keep using them because there's a pretty good chance that, whenever they built this cabin, they probably just used the same pieces of wood from like the same lumber yard or whatever. So things will look really good if they're all, similar sizes and similar styles. All right, something like that. Doesn't have to be accurate, just has to have some character. Looks like it might have been on the outside. He was screwed in or nailed into the side there. Yeah, something like that. And then I don't see another pillar on the right side, but I see one on the left. So I'm going to go ahead and put one over there on the left side. And let's put it all the way to the top. Right there. Maybe a little bit below, something like that. Okay, and then we'll take our board that we've used multiple times here, grab another piece from it, and let's make it a little smaller. Move it over. Then we want to rotate it 90, rotate it 90, and then it should be at a 45. So let's go ahead and place this one in to where I think it should be. Okay, it's not 45, which is fine. We should be able to just rotate it like that. All right, we're actually going to go from the top of the handrail up here as our like main focal point. And I'm realizing I should probably rotate this and make that the top. So I'm going to rotate like that. And basically 45, maybe 60, yeah. That way the gizmo can be the like frame of reference of where we're like where our home is at for the gizmo. That way we can elongate as far as we need. Okay, and then we'll just go like that. Put it over to where it lines up. That just ever so slightly over. And then let's bring this guy up so that it meets. Oops. So that it meets flush that. And then we have to bring this one up too. And we will change the height manually like this. And I'm now realizing I should probably do this with a little bit of more precise sizing. So to do that, I'll go to my details. And which one's the scale? This one. Okay. Let's make this just a little smaller. We'll do that for now. I'll clean that up. I think we can add like a piece of wood in there to maybe make it look a little bit better. Um, let's just move this over ever so slightly. Like that. Okay. I'm going to delete this one. We don't need that. Should be able to just take these two items and I'll move them over. Put it right there. That should line up pretty much with the rail. Yeah, that's exactly right. Look at that. Okay, guys, we made a staircase. I feel like we're missing a piece though. Nope, nope. It's actually pretty good. Um, all right, so let us just save everything real quick because I don't want to miss out on all those changes. If it crashes, okay. And going to our outliner. I'm gonna snap this to the side here. I'm just gonna bring everything down. So that it goes back to a normal place like that. All right. All right, so what should we do now? Maybe we can do the inside. Let's well, hold on. Maybe not because we already have our wall up here. Right, the partition. We will have to make a doorway right here, which we'll get to. I think the doorway for the men's cabin was like right here, perhaps. There were some bunks, some like bunk beds, like on either side. Like I think there were some bunks there, and maybe some right here. I want to say there was a like like a kitchenette type thing, like maybe a sink that was ended up not really being usable after a while. I think at least in 2013, whenever I stayed in this cabin for the summer, or part of the summer. So what else could we do while we're here? We could, of course, put a roof on it. Um, actually, yeah, let's put a roof on it. But one thing we'll have to do is add this like little contour thing on the side. But we should be able to calculate the angle there using our protractor. So I'm going to duplicate this and let's see if we could calculate an angle. There it is. And let's move this over. Then we'll zoom in a bunch. And actually, this is at an angle, so it's kind of offset from front facing. So I don't know if this angle we calculate here is going to be super accurate. But basically, what I'm trying to do is calculate this contour, like this, this face here. So we'll see if this works. Oh, I can actually drag this. I just realized that that's much easier. Okay, and then I think I can drop a pin down. Maybe not. I might have to zoom in some more. Yeah, okay, we'll go with that. Let's just say the angle is maybe 20 degrees, where it like comes off the normal, straight up and down, and then juts out 20 degrees. So I think what we'll do is grab a short wall, bring it into the world, And then let's rotate this by 20 degrees. Okay, wrong rotation. Let's try this one. Okay, that's it. And then I want to make this wall just a little bit smaller. And then we're just going to give this a little bit of a contour. We're going to maybe eyeball this. It looks like it's right above this railing here is where it starts. And I'm just now realizing that this railing does go out. There's a little bit of a pedestal here, which we need to add on this floor. So we'll get that. It's going to take a while to get these details, but it'll work out. But we know this contour is just a little bit taller, so let's just eyeball it here and make it a little bit taller there. Is that accurate? Maybe so. I think so because we're going to have to add another section down below, which is like the bottom skirt here. That's going to go even further down. So that'll end up looking normal once we move everything up. Because right, there's like a lot of air underneath the floor. Um, sorry, my buddy's texting me. Okay. Okay. So let's just extend this out till the end, and then we'll just duplicate it for the other side. Let's first make sure we're the right size. Sure, that works. Oh, perfect. Okay, and Alt. Oops, wrong one. Grab this and Alt. Drag. And for this one, we should be able to just subtract 40 degrees here to make it negative 20, and it'll just rotate the other way. Just place you there. That. Awesome. All right, that way, whenever we go to make the roof, we'll just have the roof meet up with that vertex. So now we need to calculate the pitch of the roof. And honestly, I think we could probably try to use the protractor again. Let's see. Move this so it's a little easier to see. And then let's change the radius. We'll make this 200. And then let's rotate the protractor by 180. And then we will drag to rotate. That's cool. Just now realizing that's a thing. And we'll see that apparently this roof is about 92 degrees. At least on the top pinnacle. Since this is what is this, an isosceles triangle that we're making? I don't even know how to spell isosceles, but Google will help me. Or DuckDuckGo. Um, yeah, so equal lengths, that's basically an isosceles triangle for the roof. As long as we know the center angle, then these two are going to be equal. So 90 seems a little too aggressive, though. I bet if we were looking at this straight on, the angle would be a lot bigger than 90, which means this angle is probably wrong that we calculated earlier. So, I don't know. Maybe we'll go like 120. Let's see what 120 looks like, which means that the other two are going to be 30 degrees, right? Because 180 is the total angles of all three vertices or you know, angles. 120, 180 minus 120 is 60 divided by 2 is 30. So basically this pitch that we put this at needs to be 30. So I'm going to grab one of these walls that we have right here. Do I want to do that? Yeah, maybe I do. Let's grab these two. And we'll just rotate both of them. That. And then we will put this at 30. That. And then let's just shorten this up a little bit. Maybe like that. And we'll put this down there. And then make it a little bit longer. I don't know how long yet. We'll have to calculate this here in a second. And then we'll Alt that. And then rotate that by 90 or 180. And move this into position. Okay, and now we just need to shorten everything up. Oh, I see what the problem is. I need to rotate these. And then we'll rotate that. And then reposition. Okay, that way we can edit all of these at the same time, make them all bigger. Nice. Okay. Change my flight a little bit so I can go faster. Okay. I think that's good. There's a little bit of a gap there. Let me maybe shorten these up just a tad. Or instead of that, let me just move it down a little bit. Yeah, we'll do that. Does the picture have any overlap? There's a little bit of an overhang, just ever so slightly, so I'm going to add that. Give it just a little bit. Nothing too crazy. And that one has some. Probably match these up just a little more. Yeah, we'll do that. Okay. Still think that's a little too much on the left there. Shortened up. We'll do that. Okay. Uh, what next? Hmm. This does seem a little shorter than what we got going on here. I wonder if this railing could be a little bit higher, or if we could just move this up a little bit. Either way would probably be fine. Maybe we just move it up a little bit. I'm not quite sure how far I moved it up because I need to do this for the other side. So I think I'm just gonna drag this over and do it again over here. And of course, rotate this. Okay, that means I need to shorten this up. Because there's a little too much overhang there. Oh, whoops, I didn't grab that back piece as well. Okay, how's that? Looks like I need a little more length there. Do that. Yeah, it's a good start. Okay, that looks much more believable. Yeah, this roof might still be too aggressive, but that's okay. We can edit that later. Hmm. Honestly, this might be a good place to stop for tonight. I think I've made some good progress on some of the stuff. I want to learn a little bit more about randomness. I just realized this is a little too small of an angle. Bump that out. Match that other side. Yeah. Okay. Well, yeah, I'm gonna stop for here for tonight. But yeah, definitely have some ideas for some textures. Also, I found this really cool bear on the fab that I want to add to the game, and it costs a lot of money. Um, and so I'm kind of wanting to maybe see if people want to sponsor some stuff at some point. And I can add like really cool things in here. So like if we go to the fab and we search for bears, um, we go to 3D and then characters and creatures, and trying to find the one that I found today. It's just like crazy good. Ratings. Let's see, top 5. It's got to be in here somewhere. No, maybe 4. I'm trying to remember the name. I think it was Bear. Um, try Bears. Okay, yeah. NMX Advanced Bears. It's 150 bucks, and it's 150 bucks for personal license. And the way that these licenses work within Fab is that if you have less than 100 grand of revenue or funding in the last year, then you're gonna pay for a smaller amount. But if you're a big game studio, you're probably gonna pay 350. But the animations for these are amazing. So they have a black bear, but it's not like the SPSR black bear where it's actually brown, but it's legit black. Um, this panda seems a little a little off. I think pandas are normally a little more stubby in the legs, and then they're lower to the ground. But the black bear looks really good. I think the brown bear looks great. The grizzly looks amazing. The polar bear, I think the neck should be a little longer, but the animations for these are amazing. Let me actually show you just an example here. So you can actually play as the bear. Like this is an example of the animation playing as the bear. This would be amazing, right? If you could bring this into the game and like explore Speaker as a bear. Um, it even waves hello. It'll swim. Like you can swim. Uh, and it's just such a high quality asset. Like I would be very happy if we could get this in the game. But like I said, maybe some people want to sponsor and maybe contribute and like help out. And I know I'm really early in this development and there's a long ways to go, but at some point it might be worth doing some sort of thing like that. But just a thought. All right, well that's gonna do it for today. Appreciate everyone joining and providing feedback and giving me cool ideas and assets, and I appreciate people telling me that they enjoy watching these and that they really appreciate what I'm doing or trying to do. So thanks for watching.